I'm doing this video a little bit earlier in the autumn than I'd like to do. I'd like to do this video really as autumn moves on, and I'll probably do another one showing some of the lovely autumn colours that we get over here in the UK. But I know I'm going to pretty much soon be asked why do we get these leaf colours at autumn and what's going on, and I thought I'd give you a quick explanation as to why this happens. Not always obvious to the novice, but I thought I would, as I said, give you an explanation. So the leaves at this time, they stop making chlorophyll, which is the green sections in the leaves. So as here, that is green and that's chlorophyll, heavy with chlorophyll as well. And what happens in autumn is they decide to take it back into the plant or the tree. Generally, we're talking trees and shrubs, but I'm going to show you some plants as well. Just to give you an example, because some of the colours just aren't here yet, whereas some of them are. So it takes it back in to the tree or the shrub or the plant for food. It needs that chlorophyll and it can convert it back into food. And then we get two things happening. We get one where we have a plant that becomes like this one, reds, oranges, purples, deep purples, all sorts of them types of shades. Now these ones, once these are exposed, these are what they call anthocyanins. I can't get too technical because I'm not that clever, but that's basically what they are. That's what they are called, anthocyanins. And they produce all these reds, purples, oranges, of which I will have some beauties as we go along, but we'll not be able to show you those today. This Euonymus produces it quite early on in the season, so it's quite an early plant to do it. And it's producing, I'd say that's more of an orangey red than a reddy orange, if that makes sense to you. But that's what it does. So, oranges and yellows. Now, the only thing I can show you really at the moment are these plants. So you can see that we've got some orange, some yellows and some yellows on the Miscanthus. Strictly speaking, it doesn't really affect these too much to take it back in for food. But this is an example of what colour the tree leaves would turn. Now, as I walk around, I'll see if I can find any at the moment that I've turned into this yellow colour. But I know at the moment I'm looking around and can't really see anything. So that's just a good example of the yellows. And we have different types and tones of yellows, as in there. So the oranges and the yellows are created or made by a pigment called carotenoides pigment. So the same types of pigments that make carrots or give you the carrots its colour also do that. So in this case, this is a hosta. It's called Empress Wu, and I've just recently moved it here. But what this basically done is it's gone into a stress situation, but it was starting already to produce these colours. So it itself was taking in the greens to give itself a bit of food ready for next year. And other plants do it. In fact, lots of plants do it. This Rheum's doing it. But some of the best colours, in my opinion, are the reds, the purples and the oranges. And I have one that will make an absolutely stunning orange as we go along. In fact, here we go. There's one here. And this is probably one of the best for producing this sort of thing. Now this particular shrub is quite a small shrub really. It's a parotia and it's called Persian Spire, I think, this particular one. But you can see the parotias are really good at going into some autumn colours, and they produce the reds and the yellows. So they're producing, they're taking in the chlorophyll and showing the anthocyanins that produce these things. So it's a bit technical, but it's not something that the garden needs to worry about. Just enjoy the show. So that's that type. So that's doing really well in that colour, and that is particularly good. The other things that do them really well, and I don't know if I've got any good examples of it at the minute, are the Acers. Now, these are relatively young leaves, so they're going into the autumn colour quite quickly. That's the older leaf, but it will take on these colours, which the new ones are already taking on. They're already taking back the chlorophyll and producing those colours. One of the best ones, in my opinion, is this one here. And this is Acer Akonitopholium, and it's going into reds, deep reds. It's still got some of the greens left. It'll go into yellows, all sorts of colours. The better one, for me, anyway, up here, in Lincolnshire is this particular sorbus for the yellow. Well, it's actually orange. This goes a bright orange. It's just starting to make changes now. You can see there, the colours are just starting to change. So I think another month or so, and that will have some, well, probably the most standout plant in this garden will be that orange when it actually shows its head. So lots of plants don't do it, and lots of plants do. This particular one is Cotinus, and this has a wonderful orangey, reddy display once it gets going. Once it starts taking back that chlorophyll, it will look absolutely fantastic, and it has all different shades, that particular one. So that's a good one to get if you're looking for this, the fires of autumn is best to describe it. Now, some of the other things that do it well as well are these here. These are the geraniums, and a lot of those tend to take back their chlorophyll and produce those colours. So some of them have some stunning colours, absolutely stunning. And then don't forget about things like the Euphorbias. This particular one here, this is called Excalibur. That's a euphorbia, and it takes it back from the stems, and the stems turn a really deep red as it goes on. So that's another good one. Some of the grasses do it, but they do produce some really nice colours quite early on, actually, and some of them are doing it now. So this Miscanthus here is doing it. You can see there's some fiery colours in there already, and they're doing it as well. Now this is a small tree called Sorbus autumn spire, and it's called autumn spire because of the wonderful display it's going to give as autumn approaches. As of yet, that hasn't started, but when it does, this will look like it's on fire, and it is absolutely stunning when it does it. And I love this particular one, so that's autumn spire. So that will be showing anthocyanins. That's what you'll be seeing once all the chlorophyll has gone. It also produces these wonderful berries, so they're nothing to do with these particular colours. So I'm a little bit early, as I said. It's October, second week into October, and we're not there yet. We're not there with the autumn show or the autumn fireworks that often come. But this one here is Rus glabra typhina, and this one, if it gets the right weather conditions, will go shades of red and yellow. I can see there's some shades already. There's some nice ones inside there, some lovely tones of yellow that you can see in the background there. And this one is absolutely stunning, and most Rus will give you this lovely show in autumn, and it's fantastic. It's not there yet. Now, one thing that does come into play, the best colours actually, believe it or not, develop if we've had a moist season just before a dry autumn. If we get a dry autumn and then suddenly the weather shifts, we are almost guaranteed a superb colour of fireworks, really, from your plants and your trees and your shrubs, and they'll go into these most amazing colours. So as I've just said, we are a little bit early, but there are some fantastic plants. Euphorbias, this one here, Grythii dixtra, I appreciate it's a tiny plant at the moment, but it produces some really stunning autumn colours, as does this Lysimachia clethoroides. Now, a bit early for that, but one of the plants, this particular plant, lost some of its leaves and it produced this. So, you know, that's what you're looking forward to. Now, Malinias, if you've got Malinias, they produce the orange, yellow, carotenoides pigments, and this is what this one's doing. You can see it's gone really yellow, and that's what these do every single year, that particular one, or that particular type of grass, and most of them do that. So we get some very, very interesting colours at this time of year, especially in the UK, and I know that other countries get similar shows. Some years are better than others. I suspect this year is going to be a good year. We're going to have some really, really nice colours coming out, because of we've had a really hot and dry season, but we've had quite a lot of rain coming down just now, and then it's starting to dry up again, which it makes way for a nice autumn display. So maybe in another 2 or 3 weeks, I'll come back out and I'll just go for a walk through some of the really nice colours of the other plants that haven't yet started their autumn colour. But while we're here, we'll go to this Miscanthus, and this is a sinensis type, and this is my own sport that I'm just trialling, as I keep mentioning, and this is producing some lovely colours. It does this quite early on, to be quite honest, but it gets better as the autumn comes in and produces these, well, as I said, anthocyanin colours, which is the reds, the purples and the oranges, which do well. And actually, again, while we're here, this is Akonitopholium, the Japanese forest grass, and these produce a lovely yellow sort of flashes, and they stand out a mile when you actually see a bigger clump of that, and when it takes back its pigments. So, just to go back over, the leaves, they stop making chlorophyll, and that's because it's taken back in by the plant itself, the tree, the shrub, the plant, certain plants. They take it back in and they produce these wonderful colours. So yellows and oranges are created by the carotenoides pigments, which produces that, so that's beautiful. And then, the reds and the purples produce that, which is the anthocyanin types. And the oranges and yellows, have we got one here? Oh, I guess we could show you a good example of this. This is just a rose hip, showing a beautiful colour indeed. But I don't know if this is the same thing that happens to these, but I suspect not. But there's a nice example of an orange that some of the trees will turn. So that's a carotenoides pigment coming through. Probably not on them, but on the trees, it's soon to be here. It's not going to be long now. So as I say, I will come back through and show you that once we get that season well underway, and that's not going to be long now here in the UK. It's going to be another couple of weeks, maybe towards the end of this month into next month, and we'll really have a cracking show this year. I thought we would this year, but I'm already seeing it in the wild edges. Euonymus are good for it. The Acer Akonitopholium, which is the field maple, are all doing the things at the moment around this area, and they're all looking great. So nip out into your countryside, local to you, and see what you can find. Look for the yellows and look for the reds, the purples and the oranges. They all look great. Okay, speak to you on the next one. Ta-da.